To kind of get a better understanding.
Yeah, a better understanding. And do you mind?
Yes, yes, yes. It is definitely a growing knowledge based. And so that's why I kind of signed up for it to get a better understanding of the ideology.
Cool, cool. And do you mind sharing what you do?
I actually work for the medical field. I work for the state and federal state of provider enrollment and credentialing.
Mhm.
So a lot of logistics involved.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, thank you so much for joining. Rob, are you able to get on Riverside?
Yeah, well, it looks like I'm on there. Join studio. Here we go.
So I will go live. It's not gonna echo, is it? Hopefully not. Yeah. Live.
How do you mute?
Yeah, that's a minute. Okay. We are here. We have people joining us in the room. Just get this up. Um, Okay, thank you guys so much for joining our amazing webinar that we have organized here. This is really, really powerful, guys. We're living in the greatest era to be alive. Honestly, the greatest era to be alive, where we have our own voices. We can speak. We can tell people what we do and share our voices authentically, right? But we see so many people making a lot of mistakes in the market today, and it's just a matter of how can you take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm so glad to be here with Robert Schreiber. Now, Robert has over 30 years experience, guys. 30 years experience. So he's seen, quite a lot of things happen in this space, in this industry, right? Especially when it comes to video and producing quality video so you can market yourself, right? Guys, I want you to think about it. Everything, everywhere you go, things have been marketed to you, right? The decisions you make subconsciously have been through marketing. So how can we use that power for ourselves? Because we have that power now. You have the power to own your own media company, to get your voice out there, whether you're an employee or you're a CEO. So we're going to share with you some of the mistakes that we see. And this is going to be a live podcast that we're doing. So we have people in the webinar to ask questions. So Robert, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? And yeah, thanks so much for joining.
Okay, so two devices here. So just kind of working on that.
Mhm.
Why is that still muted?
Yeah.
There we go. All right, we've got two things happening. So yeah, simultaneous webcast here. This is amazing, which is really kind of interesting. Hi, folks. I'm Rob Schreiber from Who's Elliott Media Productions. I've been a industry professional for 30 years within the production industry. Um, I guess my background goes all the way back to when I first started in the industry after university. I trained in all areas of production and to be basically being trained as a director to follow in my father's footsteps. But I chose the path of audio just because I had a large interest in music. And I chose that path, which gave me some wonderful training in areas that you probably wouldn't get today. Back then, there weren't any monitors. So as a sound, I started as a boom operator actually, and you had to learn about camera stock, camera lenses, camera angles, lighting, and a whole host of things that you wouldn't have to learn today in that same position, which helped me kind of grow into where I am today. I've also been fortunate in my career to be able to study and work and implement into several different disciplines with the industry, which I believe has just given me advantage as a producer.
Hmm. So, powerful. Thanks for that. Again, quite a lot of experience. So, again, I wanted this to be like not just a normal webinar where it's just us talking. We want it to be interactive, like giving people tips on marketing, which is powerful. But the webinar is what are the mistakes that people are making? Because I think that's an important place to start. Like what have you been seeing in the marketplace today that people are doing wrong and that can be better? So I'll give like let's say the first one. What I've seen is complacency, right? People are complacent. They're we're in a day and age where we have instant gratification. We have things here. Um, and at the same time, a lot of people are doing really well in their business, right? Especially a lot of the baby boomers, right? You've been able to build up your business. You have a lot of word of mouth referrals coming in, and you're kind of like, hey, things are going good. But I think that is a huge mistake because what's happening is by you being complacent, you're not taking advantage of the opportunities that are present. And the opportunities that are present is we all have this. We all have a phone, right? So that means if we all have a phone, we technically all have a media company in our hands. So it's about how can we use everything? How can we use content? How can we use these platforms? Like these platforms are free. YouTube, Instagram, they're free. So we can just position ourselves and really talk about what we do, like what we're doing right now. We're in operations. We're very busy to be creating content. I don't have time to be creating content. But what we are doing is sitting down and having conversations, communicating, and adding value to people who want to come in and learn. And so by people being complacent, you're missing out on doing what? On giving value. How can you give back? Robert has taken his time. I've taken my time here to give back to people because look, someone like Dee, Florence, Victoria, you guys have come to learn. So how can we just give value? How can we give value to people? And the more you do that, the more it's going to benefit you because wealth comes from the value you provide. So that's one mistake I've seen is complacency. I think if we all realize that we need to be adaptable, the market is always changing, it's always moving, and there's always a paddle that's coming to take you out if you're not, on that length of thinking on and providing value using these platforms. So that's what I've seen. Robert, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first thing, I'm just having a look at the Zoom here, and it doesn't seem to be that we're live. It looks like we are in a full frame of the intro. There, do you want to check that feed?
So
See
what
what everyone's seen on the Zoom?
Okay, so on the Zoom, what can you guys see on the Zoom? Can you see like, am I sharing my screen on the Zoom?
Yeah, but we're not seeing us live. We're seeing a
Oh, no, yeah,
PDF.
that's because the people on the Zoom can just see us, but like if I exit out the Riverside, like this is already recording on Riverside, which is good because this will come up on like YouTube, will go up on the platforms. On LinkedIn, they can see this, but the people who are in this call, they're obviously just here to kind of see the webinar. So it's like yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go back to online marketing. I set up a company probably about 12, 13 years ago now with the intent of doing online marketing and advertising. We were a little bit ahead of the curve. Back then, YouTube was the main game player, which has been interesting to watch YouTube kind of fall behind and now have such a strong presence again. So anyone that is doing marketing online, and literally if you have any type of company, you need to be marketing online now, otherwise you cease to exist. Everyone needs to have a YouTube channel. YouTube has become one of the most prevalent forms of getting yourself and your information out there, building a YouTube channel, building shorts to go with that, and then using that content and repurposing it for places like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, depending on where your audience sits.
Mm.
So I think that anyone that's doing this needs to be involved in those channels and needs to be creating content for those channels.
Mhm. I love that, Rob. I think that's fantastic advice. It's very, very true. I think if I show like if we show this, this is really like the documentation pillar. But what you're saying, if we go here, like YouTube, right? YouTube, like with the pillar content, it's like that's like your TV station, right? You like people now, they're quite heavy on YouTube. So exactly what you're saying is so true. Is on you got to be online right now, no matter what you do. Because a lot of people, Rob, they say, "Oh, well, my industry is boring. I just do this, and no one's interested in that." But I also want to show people this, which is like social media is not so much about the social stuff, like whether your friend follows you or your mom follows you, but it's about an interest. It's what people are interested in. So whatever your industry is, like what you're saying, Rob, if people are interested in what you do and they're going to come in and tune in. So now, if you're up on YouTube, you're gonna find your tribe. If you're posting content on YouTube, you'll have the long form content and you break it into short form content, and then you distribute that on all across different platforms. The people who are into what you're into, who need your solution, are gonna come and tune into you. And when you do that over a long period of time, and they're coming and watching you, and they're watching you, and they're watching you, and they're getting value from you, what do you think that's gonna do for your business in the long run?
Yep,
Right? So,
exactly, exactly.
mhm,
And you see this a lot. I see this a lot with product demos, particularly in my field. People will, something new will come out, like the latest DJI drone or the Pocket gimbal, and people jump on there and they do reviews of it. They show you how to use it, and then you go, right. And even myself, I go, right, well, this is a great piece of equipment. I'm going to get one, and I'm going to watch this guy because he's showing me all the tips and tricks on how to use it.
mhm,
So positioning yourself as an authority in what you do via these channels is one of the best ways to just grow and get your business out there.
mhm. Love it. I love it. Just real quick segue as we've had new people joining. We have Diana. I don't know if it was D who was in earlier. Diana, you can come introduce yourself, ask any questions. Do you want to say hi and who you are, what you do?
Oh, hi. Yes, it was D, but it wasn't going very well on my cell phone. So I went on my computer. I'm originally from Augsburg, Germany, moved here to Dallas, Texas. I am transitioning into the technological world of in the medical field. So this is a booming business. And so that's why more insight on the higher levels and their expertise.
Cool. Do you have any questions? Or do you have anything that's popped to your mind that you've struggled with or you want to know more about?
One thing that I want to know is technology. Everybody seems to believe that it is profounding, especially in the medical field. We are leaning more towards a technological based aspect. Have you guys found anything as far as being technologically advanced in a sense on an upper field of any classes or anything that we need to intervene because everyone just thinks we understand technology. And it seems to be like a big problem of nobody having a background of tech and going into every aspect of the business, so to speak.
So
Mm.
tech, when you
So do
say
you have any insight on that?
tech as in marketing tech or tech as in medical tech?
Understanding,
Understand.
understanding what technology is really involved in, because there seems to be a lot of questions of just, just a computer based, but it is becoming heavily, predominantly used across the board.
Okay, so, well, AI is really taking the forefront, I think, across marketing and across a lot of industries. When you want to get into tech and you want to get into computers and programming, there are applications, AI applications out there. Um, this is the latest one I saw actually, and I found this quite humorous. Basically, you can go into this application and say, hey, I've got an idea for an app. This is what my app is. And it will ask you questions, and then it will code and create your app and then go, here you go, here's your app. Now you can go
Wow.
out there and sell it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that's how advanced and how fast it's moving. We're currently in the game of creating digital clones for mainly for larger companies, CEOs, CIOs, CFOs that are time poor, but need to do maybe weekly, monthly video casts, and whether they're internal or external for marketing use or external to their client base. And so they're time poor. They don't want to get in front of the video camera and spend an hour or 2 hours reading off the script or a teleprompter and making mistakes and having to do it again. So what we've done is we are now creating a digital clone, a digital twin that looks like you and sounds exactly like you. So we take you into a professional studio and we film you, and then we create this clone. And basically all you have to do is deliver your script, what background you want, and we will then deliver you or your clone, your digital twin, delivering that script. So they never have to get in front of the camera again. So that's one of the things that technology is doing. And in marketing, it's just huge what's going on. Canva, CapCut.
Mm.
The list goes on. I'm using AI in my editing process when it comes to color grading, cleaning up sound, um, and just a whole host of different applications that can be used to save time. And I think there's a lot of talk about people losing their jobs to AI. Yes, I was at the Intrigue Summit last week, and I spoke on a panel there. And yes, some jobs will be lost, but mainly the menial admin tasks that can be automated. And automation, hey, which is what AI has been around since 1955, actually.
Mm.
We've now just got computers that are fast enough and available to really get into doing automation and really bringing AI into a forefront where these computers are not quite self-thinking, but they draw information from the internet and to answer questions and to do things for you. And people are building AI applications to do these tasks. But with some people losing their jobs, there are jobs being created. And one of the first ones that came up was a prompting engineer or a prompt engineer. That is now a job. Okay. Um, uh, the other job that's popped in is there's companies that have just popped up everywhere in the last 12 months, which are AI consulting firms. So they'll come into your business, they'll look at your business, and they will consult on what AI applications will improve your workflow and improve your business. And then they'll teach you, they'll implement those for you, and they'll train your staff on how to use them with ongoing support. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow. It's and like you said, like if you're not ahead of the curve, AI will replace you. If there's not something that's outstanding, like you said, the mundane task, you will be replaced. So going back to Diana, going back to your question, so are you, just so I can understand it further, are you starting your own tech company? Are you working within a tech company? You want to understand what about marketing did you want to understand further?
Um, as far as marketing, it's always a competition. So what would set somebody aside to actually outdo all, I guess, the other competitors out there? What could you use as a one thing to actually set you apart from everyone else? And I think everybody has that question. It's like, because it's so predominantly out there, what are some of the marketing techniques that could set you aside?
Uh, yeah, that's my favorite question, and it's a very good question, and good on you for asking that question. Um, a lot of people say that they say, but there's oversaturation in the market. There's so many other people who are doing what I do, and how can I stand out? Do you know how you can stand out, Diana? By being you. I tell people all the time, your unique gift, your voice is going to separate you from the marketplace. But again, going back to the mistake that a lot of people make is they just don't put themselves, their authentic beings out there. So if you're not putting yourself out there, what's going to make me come to you, It's all the same, right? What's going to make me come that when you build a personal brand, and this is what it comes back to, the mistake that people make is they're not building a personal brand. Because when you build a personal brand, Diana, I'm going to come to you for you. It not may even be about so much about the tech, right? Of course, you're doing something in tech and that's great and you solve that problem. But I can come to you because of your story, because of what you've been through, because of what you like. And the fact that you've created your business and you saw a problem and you know what, I can see myself in you. And when you do that, there is no such thing as competition. I would rather go spend more money with you, and your competition will, maybe their subscription service is at a lower rate, but I will come and spend more money with you because of your gift and because I see myself in you. And so a technique like that's practical, and it kind of comes back similar to this, which is kind of just documenting. But what I would say is start a podcast. That's what works for us. It's the easiest way to do it, is because it's a bit harder for me to stand in front of a camera and have to, say a script. No, I don't have time for that. But if I sit down and have powerful conversations with people, let's say I'm bringing people potential clients, prospects in the tech world and speaking to them about their story. I'm talking about my story and how we started this and the problems that we're seeing and what people have been going through and how we've been able to solve them. And what that does is it gives you this, it gives you like a lot of content. It gives you, let's say if you're having a podcast like this webinar could go on for an hour, it's 30 minutes, da, da, da. In that 30 minutes, in that 20 minutes, in that hour conversation, think about how long people are spending with you. And that's the most important thing. Think about it. Think about if someone's coming and watching you for an hour, Diana, and they're listening to what you have to say, think about how powerful that is, right? You may listen to other podcasts. If those people in those podcasts, if they came to you for a deal, you would most likely take it because you trust them. You've listened to them so much. So for me, you will stand out when you put yourself out there more and build that brand. And the way we really do that or teach people is through a podcast because it's natural, it's authentic. There's no AI. It's well, you can use AI to help you be able to package that, but it's real. It's the real juice, and people relate to that again over a long period of time.
Yeah, I'll add to that,
Mhm.
Diana. As I said, last week's summit, there was 150 marketers there and some pretty heavy hitters, head of marketing for Dell, head of marketing for HP. And there was a lot of conversation about AI. But my panel, we discussed actually authenticity in marketing.
There we go.
And if you go back years, we used to have brand voices, brand actors, that was the face of a brand. Um, Nowadays, people are kind of not really interested in seeing an actor standing up there and talking about a product or a service. They want to see you, right? And that is what is at the top of marketing. And this is what can set you apart. And yes, it is a trend. And yes, a lot of people are doing it, but it's what people want. They want you. They don't want to see an influencer. If they want to see about a product and an unboxing or something like that, yeah, an influencer, great, or a brand person is great, a brand voice. But in marketing right now, what they want is you. They want your story. They want to find about who you are. They want to know about your values, your family values, your values in business, and your values in life. And if you put those things across, what you're doing is you're building trust. And trust is what is going to get people, is what's going to attract people to you. And I think it's very important that you just, as Sugira said, put yourself out there. Just get out there and really put yourself out there as a real person.
Yeah, and yeah, great. I think another mistake is that not people being not authentic, right? Trying to, copy their competitors or see what the market's doing and trying to go off that. Exactly what you said, authenticity. And now we're living in a day and age like tech, for let's go back to tech, that industry. I think tech is a booming industry to get into. My goodness, it's a gold mine because it's the future. Everyone needs tech. Everyone needs it. Of course, investors going in there. It's a huge industry, and it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better. So it's a perfect industry for me that I'm seeing. And so I think now more than ever, if you can like the way you stand out in the tech industry is by that personal brand, because a lot of people, especially in that field, they're very shy, they're introverts, they don't want to put themselves out there, they don't really communicate really well. So if you have someone who can communicate like how you've been, so far, and then you've got the tech skills, and then you've got the business to back it up, and you've got that authentic juice. Oh man, you're out of here. So, did that answer your question?
Oh, yes, definitely gave me a whole bunch of ideas.
Mhm. Is there anything else that you're seeing in the marketplace? Any other questions you have?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mhm.
I'd just like to add that there are fantastic tools to help you with ideation when it comes to, hey, I've got to do a podcast, or hey, I've got to do some marketing, I've got to do a video of myself. And ChatGPT is a great tool to use. This also came up in a lot of conversation last week as well. Is that all these tools, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, and the other ones that are out there that you might go to and say, hey, I need to create 6 weeks worth of content to go out onto these platforms. Can you create something for me? And yes, it will do that. But because it's drawing its information from the same place, everyone else that is doing exactly what you might be doing is going to get the same type of campaign, right? So it's good to use ideation, but then you need to go in and get in there and put the human touch in and create it and personalize it, put it in your voice and tell your story.
Mhm. Powerful, powerful. I love that. I love that. And yeah, like with ChatGPT, again, it's such a powerful tool that you can use in your business. But yeah, again, really being on that, how can I be different? How can I be unique? Again, guys, this is the greatest era to be alive. It's the greatest era we're living in. And the fact that like we can do this webinar, we can be here together. We don't have much time yet. We have about 5 minutes. We did want to do it where it's like it's lunchtime. I don't know Diana, what's the time in America or in Dallas?
It's actually 8:24 p.m.
Oh, that's a pretty good time actually to come in and join a webinar. Yeah, that's a pretty good time. Yeah, and the fact that you come in and invest in this, Rob. Where are you on your journey now? What do you see in the future? Like, what's inspiring you? I think a why is very important for people to have when it comes to marketing, when it comes to branding, when it comes to even like when we deal with our clients. It's about we don't just take in everyone just to take them in on as clients, right? Because we want to be like, what's your why? What's your impact? What's your legacy? Because when we get that why, then you have that legacy and you mix that with social media and you can just go in and put out content. It really, sets you apart from the rest. So what would you say is your why at the moment?
Uh, it's actually quite simple. It's storytelling. I have loved telling stories my entire life.
Hmm.
And where we are in the marketing game at the moment, as I said before, these short commercials that get repeated. When we used to just have TV as the medium, you'd sit there, you'd be watching a program, commercial break would come on, you'll see the same commercial, a long version, a shorter version, bit more of your program, and all the way through that program during the commercial break, you're being bombarded with the same commercial over and over and over again. And those commercials were just about uh, product, or a service. They didn't have anything to do with the story behind that product or service. And the trend now, and I think it will be a trend for a long time into the future, once again, is authenticity and the story. And that's what's driving me at the moment is getting in and being able to actually go back to real storytelling in marketing.
Mm. Story and that's what's always worked. Storytelling from the dawn of time before social media, it's always worked. So now can you imagine if you mix that storytelling aspect with social media and with the just being in people's faces? I love that, being in people's faces, being where your audience is. So for example, again, let's go back to Diana. Tech LinkedIn is a huge platform for you, like huge platform, because that's where a lot of your consumers, or also sometimes depends on the product. But let's say you want to build partnerships and like LinkedIn is huge, especially on the B2B space that we're in, that most of us are in. So yeah, when you can mix that storytelling, mix the content, put it up on YouTube, and then you can repurpose that on LinkedIn, Facebook, da, 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 and you're adding that storytelling aspect, and people are gonna relate, and it's gonna set you apart. So yeah, if there's any other questions, if anyone has any other questions, before we head out of here, you guys can also connect with Rob. Rob, I didn't get a chance to get your um, LinkedIn details, but you guys can go and follow Rob on LinkedIn. I think that's a huge platform. Isn't that right, Rob? Would you say?
Yes, yes, it's a great platform. I have about 4,500 followers now. So please do come along. I don't do a lot of posting, but when I do, people generally are finding it interesting and it usually starts a conversation. Um, I've put my details also into both of these platforms, the web address there, so you can go and have a look at my work and you can reach out and get in contact with me via there as well.
Cool. And then I wanted to show you guys one more thing before we get out of here. So again, this was really, really cool. Like I think I loved how we did like a podcast at the same time, a podcast and a webinar at the same time. Let me just So we have another event that's happening in May, and it's going to be extremely powerful. We've got a special guest from America, Sean Barnes. He's, built up quite a big brand. We were able to also have him on the podcast, and he's doing that, right? Like he's a consultant in the IT and tech space as well. And he's really built up his quite a big podcast. And it's about how to be an influential CEO, how to really be influential, because that's what this is about. It's about influence, right? Because if you have influence, you have the market, you have attention. And when you say something, people move, right? You want to build a new product, people will move and come into that product. So as you can see, he's quit, but build up quite a big brand. So it's about how can we all, do this together. So it's going to be quite a big event. We've got so many CEOs, so many entrepreneurs coming from all over the world. It's going to be valuable to have you guys there. So feel free. We can send a link to everyone in the chat, and it will be really, really, really powerful. So thank you guys so much for joining. You guys can also connect on LinkedIn. Let me come back. Where's my LinkedIn? Yeah. You can connect with me on LinkedIn if you want, and we can always have a chat. Feel free to ask questions. So thank you guys all for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you get inspiration to come out of this webinar, fire up and say, how can I tell my story? How can I put myself out there? And that's what it's about. And if you ever need help doing that, you have us here to really do it for you, and just boom, off to the races. Yep.
Right. Thank you for having me on.
No worries. Thanks, guys.